So right as I'm about to upload the video talking about all the Texas players set to enter the transfer portal, I get a notification on my phone that Alabama wide receiver Christian Leary is set to also enter the transfer portal. This is something we need to talk about. Christian Leary was a top 100 player coming out of high school, and today we need to discuss where Alabama could turn to and why I don't believe Christian Leary will be in the transfer portal for very long. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and first and foremost, are you surprised that Christian Leary has entered the transfer portal? And secondly, do you believe we will see more Alabama players enter the portal? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions may seem small, but they truly are massive for content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And as I said in the intro, Christian Leary was a top 100 player overall coming out of high school, the number 10 wide receiver and the number 14 player in the state of Florida, coming in as the number 75 overall prospect regardless of position. And this dude is a straight up blazer. This is a guy that can take the top off of a defense, and he showed that during Alabama's spring game this past year, where a lot of Alabama fans were excited to see what he was going to be able to do now that an opportunity had presented itself. And Christian Leary was a part of that 2021 wide receiver class for Alabama, where the Crimson Tide signed 4 of the top 10 wide receivers in that recruiting class. Those guys being Ja'Cory Brooks, JoJo Earle, Ajayi Hall, and Christian Leary. Now, this is going to be interesting because Christian Leary was a guy that I think a lot of Alabama fans thought would see a larger role this season. However, there were several things that I think hurt his chances. First and foremost was one of the guys he was signed with, JoJo Earle. And JoJo Earle is somebody that when he's healthy, we have heard this staff laud over his ability. Nick Saban himself has singled out JoJo Earle on several different occasions and spoke about what a dangerous weapon he is when he's fully healthy. Unfortunately, we just haven't gotten to see JoJo Earle at 100% capabilities, something I can't wait to see. I think trying to compete with JoJo Earle was already difficult enough, and we have to remember, whenever they were true freshmen, Jamison Williams and John Mechie was there. So getting on the field over those guys, plus Slade Bolden, guys that had the senior experience, it was already tough enough as is. Going into his sophomore year, you had to compete with JoJo Earle, and then the second reason I think it got hard for Christian Leary is the Alabama wide receiver class that they signed in the class of 2022, where Alabama signed several guys who've turned out to be really solid players, but specifically at that slot wide receiver position. Whether we're talking about Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, or Aaron Anderson, someone who, kind of like JoJo Earle, Nick Saban singled out, talked about what a great player he is, and we cannot forget Kendrick Law. There were several different freshmen able to contribute at that slot wide receiver position for Alabama, and at the point where all those guys were getting more play than Christian Leary, unfortunately, I think the writing was on the wall. Now, make no mistake, I don't think Christian Leary is going to be a guy that's in the transfer portal for very long, and there are several different reasons as to why. First and foremost, he was a top 100 guy coming out of high school. I know it's not high school anymore, but he has speed that you just can't teach. Secondly, he's been being coached by the Alabama Crimson Tide staff. Those guys, when they enter the portal, seem to be really coveted players, and they don't seem to sit in the portal for very long. They seem to have their pickings of which institution they will go to. And finally, I think whenever you look at it, this is a guy that could really make an offense that much more dangerous. If you're a team that has got some wide receiver needs, specifically at that slot wide receiver position, and you need someone that can add in a layer of speed to your team that can really hurt a defense, look no further than Christian Leary. At 5'10", this dude is an absolute blazer, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds. But for Alabama, they have several different guys at that slot wide receiver position, and the question is, moving forward, who's going to be the guy that emerges as the leader in that slot wide receiver room? Because there are several names you have got to be aware of. That is an absolutely loaded position for Alabama. Really excited to see how that position group as a whole continues to develop. But to answer the second question I posed, do I think this is going to be the only transfer we see from Alabama? No. And guys, I don't even think that this is a transfer that's indicative of Crimson Tide fans needing to worry. This is the state of college football in 2022. Kind of piggybacking where I left off in that Texas video, this is just kind of the state of college football right now. Players have the freedom to try and go find opportunities that are better and that they can try and contribute, and they have the freedom to exercise that. I think that we are going to see several more guys for Alabama enter the transfer portal, and I think, not to be a broken record, that's just kind of where we are with the existence of the transfer portal in college football in 2022. Super interested in hearing from all of you, though. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. I know this is a dude that personally I was really hoping would be able to contribute. He has got dangerous speed. It just kind of never came to fruition. One, he had to compete with JoJo Earl, and then two, Alabama signed a lot of capable dudes at that slot wide receiver position in this previous class. I think that really hurt his chances. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See you.